let's go to Harry. Hello, Harry.
Yes, good morning. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Great. What's on your mind?
I'd like to discuss, first of all, I'm not familiar with this assistant commissioner. I'm sorry for those commissioners' death, which could have been invented, due detail and policy. But what I want to say is these governors that get in office are shutting down these juvenile institutions, starting off with Sunquist. So we don't have no secure place to put these people. We don't have Pikeville. We don't have Brushy. We don't have these other secure places we could put these juveniles and then train them before we enter them back to society. But nobody wants to discuss that because of the politics. And also, if a female officer, I worked 25 years for the Department of Corrections, if a female officer or male officer gets assaulted by an inmate or convict, they cannot press charges. She don't want to step that, but a police officer can press charges. Something is wrong with this policy. And also, Obama gave the churches and all these religious organizations, when he was in office, a certain amount of funds to help the society. But Pastor Scruggs, he don't want to talk about that. First, he keep neglecting to mention that. These churches own a lot of property and homes in this town, and they're doing very little to help these people except putting the money in their own pocket. And you see that, and that's why they think about passing a tax law to help make up for these funds. And I wish he would go over this and help me out with this understanding right here.
All right.
Because I have been to these juvenile places, and I know what they are very effective.
All right, let's talk about juveniles first. I mean, that's certainly in the news. We've done a ton of stories on them. We've had these 4 escape. What do you think? We're talking about criminal justice reform, big picture. What about juvenile justice reform, and what about what kind of stands out to you when we talk about that?
Yeah. So first of all, the caller, he mentioned that he served several years as a correctional officer. So I want to just say thank you for your service. We definitely appreciate that as a Tennessean. Juvenile justice reform. I've only worked in the adult system, and my primary service has been on the community corrections, community supervision side of that. But I will say, just from a global perspective, again, resources, the availability of education early on, supplying the necessary resources for government to intervene and maybe utilize technology a little bit differently. That's one thing that is an emerging trend in corrections and community corrections, is the usage of technology to have interface and have communication with people. And so when I say technology, traditionally people think of a GPS bracelet, but there are so many different levels of technology available that can curb negative decision making. We want returning citizens or people who are in the community to have pro-social behavior. So we want to disturb that anti-social behavior. And I think that it would behoove us to have these programs available regardless of the age of the population. Obviously, juvenile crime has spiked in Nashville. I saw a tweet before I came over here where MNPD is, at a command center, and they have, around the clock really looking for those suspects. So shout out to our law enforcement, and really tips that come in really help them to be able to apprehend people. There is no magic ball that law enforcement has to know everything. It takes, again, that community partnership with law enforcement in order to solve the crimes. But beyond specific issues within the DCS, that's not I really wouldn't want to go there too much, because that's really not my area of expertise. But from what I understand about the adult system, I will say resources, really having the programs necessary, education, and even things as simple as after-school programs for these children. So,
are we ready to? All I hear is we have no money. Do you think we're ready to do some of these things? Are we getting to the point we're going to be ready, or we have to go to break in a moment. What do you think about that?
We have to be ready, right? Like, we know that if we do not dedicate resources and financial resources in order for us to modify this behavior, we're not going to be talking about the 7 million people who are in the justice system. We're going to be talking about the 8 million people, and then at what cost? In Tennessee, our corrections budget and probation and parole is almost $1 billion, a little bit over $1 billion. At what point are we going to say, the community is ready to have that conversation? Because our corrections leaders have already said, yep, we're willing to have that conversation. We have to do something differently. And we see them putting actual, methodology to their processes. So that's very encouraging.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, talk about how Tennessee is doing overall, and a few other things. Take a break. Be back right after this.